Yo guys, Loco JB here. So recently, patch 14.22 arrived, and so I wanted to do a top lane tier list. Here are the generic changes that will happen in this patch. Uh, there are some positive and some negatives for top laners in general. But let's straight up jump into the video. So, great, we already added some of these picks, and I'm gonna explain them step by step why I added them already. But basically, we started recording and I left them here, so I didn't place them back. But Gnar, I feel like he's kind of underrated, even though he got plenty of the times buffed. People, I feel like most of the times they autopilot and go perma for grasp, perma for fleet. From the other case, on the other hand, I think people don't go PT, they don't go lethal tempo enough. I mean, basically, also got to be mechanically good at Gnar. Their spacing may not be the best. Their descendant may not be the best. Their E usage. So I feel like he's a bit underrated as a champion. Definitely deserves to be at least in the underrated tier. If you notice, this is not a generic tier list though, because there is works most of the times. Counter pick underrated. She is bad in meta. Now we also have Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is not necessarily a bad champion. The reasoning behind that is very simple. Thing about Heimerdinger is that he got buffed in the past. What does that even mean? So, for example, at the time they changed Heimerdinger's R, so it got reduced stat-wise, basically HP-wise, just because you cannot smite it anymore, which is seen to be a good thing. And also the armor was also increased, which is seen to be a good thing, and the magic resistance is because it's less so destroyable. Now, from the other hand, health AP ratio also got changed to 50% from 25 to 200% based on AP, but that's not a super big concern. This and that type of smaller changes it did receive, but what's more significant on top lane is that now updates is set every 1 second in order to reflect on level ups, rank ups, and the caster changes in ability power. So this means Conqueror Heimerdinger is generally better, which was a thing in the past, but it wasn't as good as it is right now, because now itself, the tower itself that generates Conqueror stacks does actually get the Conqueror damage value, but you could do something else. There are some other quality updates is set every second in order to reflect the level up. Yep. This applies to his Q as well, not only to his RQ. And there are some quality life of changes that Heimerdinger did receive, but if you think about it, why I added Heimerdinger, it's not even picked on top lane, by the way. Generally, it's not even picked in support or mid, but just think about it. He has so many good matchups. There are so many champs that are either skill shot reliant, and because of his Garbo passive, he gets so much mobility to the point where either it's hard to catch an ability on him because 20% mobility is quite a lot, or B scenario, he has his towers, so if you play maybe an Aatrox or an Alawi, not only that he has a lots of mobility and you're a skill shot champion, as Alawi you could E into his tower, and as Aatrox you could W into his fucking a tower, or as Mordekaiser you could just Q, but it doesn't get an isolated value, but often he will not even hit your ability as another example. So I think he has many good matchups. Most of the times he does get an easy priority. Sometimes he can also 1v2 because he's, as I said, his RQ is not smiteable, his priorities are decent, he's really good at rushing, he's really good around objectives as well, topside objectives like grabs. Obviously also really insane at taking down Baron and Herald because of his tower, so if someone is tanking these objectives, or even so his tower can tank it, so that 50% damage is not applied to Heimer or to his teammate, which is seen to be a huge speed up on taking down that objective. So I would say it's a underrated pick, because generally speaking he does have many good matchup. Gwen got recently so nerfed. Before she also got nerfed because she did quite well in the meta with her Magic Pen build. Her Magic Pen build is seen to be a good thing, still I would say, but I would say after these nerfs she's less so viable, and it just simply takes more time to outscale people. It takes more time to scale in some matchups. She has less threat early on to some extent, because her passive got nerfed, but everything else applies her passive, every other ability she has, so that's why it doesn't seem to be a lot, but it's a lot. So I would say as a counter pick it may still be decent, as a scaling option it still may be decent, but otherwise I would say she somewhat did fell off. Udyr, bad dog shit cheese pick. I mean, he generally wasn't really good, but recently so he also got a massive fucking nerf on his head. Udyr, basically we can see the AP ratio is the same, but if you go, most of the times people will R max on top lane. They go some random tank AP build, whatever. We can see his art damage is also cut by 20, and then it goes down. I mean, we should look at this actually. So it's cut by 20 from 170, and then it will be cut from 440 to 360, which is 80 less damage, which is significant. Then power damage is also reduced by 2% later on. Monster cap, CBA on top lane, but you know, basically leash wise. That's why it's kind of a cheese, kind of a dog shit. I don't even know. It's you can cheese people theoretically, but it's also like very dog shit. Like it's worse than a cheese. I don't know. Aatrox, even though recently he got some marginal nerfs at level 11 and more so at level 16, still does, I would say, work super well if you're skilled enough. Akali, Akali is kind of like both. Kinda underrated, kind of a counter pick. That's also very underrated as a counter because I feel like there are many matchups that do actually suck ass into Akali, such as Camille does suck ass, some melee bruisers that can deal with her kit. I would say like before, Akali used to be a Jax counter as well, but these days more so Gragas gets picked into. But I would say like with many matchups like Wukong she can deal. I would say she has many good matchups like Trundle, like whatnot. I would say there are good matchups and there are many matchups she can outskill. So I would say at least she deserves to be kind of underrated, kind of a counter pick tier list. Maybe I should make one in between. Action, it's a cheese pick. I mean, it has some, cheese validity, roaming power. W can be cheesy. Or picks, whatnot. Ignite, maybe you get a tower dive, something. But it's generally dog shit. Volibear, kind of a cheese, honestly. I mean, after so many nerfs, I don't know. I mean, as a counter pick, it can work well, but I feel like it's just not that good. Queen, we reached the point where Queen counts to be a cheese pick. Yasuo got buffed, but mainly scaling wise. He's not really a top laner, he's more so mid laner, but some people can make it work. Counter pick? Is it valid? I think he can counter some champions though. And I'm not only specifically talking about range champs that he can beat, but he can also counter to a good extent champs maybe like Cho'Gath, maybe Nasus to some extent, so. I'd say like there are some melee champs he can beat, but some of them take also like a lot of skill to beat, so. It's hard to tell, but maybe as a counter, if you really feel like, but you also kind of have to be a one trick. Yone, he got a really nice item this patch, so Yuntal will give crit attack speed and AD, so I would say he's definitely somewhat better than he was before. If you're insanely good at it, I would say it can work most of the times, because recently so he did get a nice amount of value out of these Yuntal. Yep, I think there are some champs as well that got a little bit nerfed on top side, such as Jax, Alawi. Alawi doesn't do, like, most of the, like, Aatrox, Jax are a bit more concerning. Not insanely a lot, but there are some top picks. Shen can be a bit scary early on, but some of the top picks in general got nerfed, and not only because they got nerfed, you got Yuntal, you got Detail Tempo. So I would say like there are quite lots of like ups of like picking Yone. Obviously there are counters like Jax which you wanna permaban, but most of the champs you can actually play around quite nicely scaling to you scale super well, you have outplay potential. I would say Yone is definitely better than it seems to be, but there are some counter matchups. I would say there are some counter matchups that can be concerning, but most of the times I could see maybe I overrate him, but I feel like with the new Yuntal is kinda OP. Vladimir, who says a counter it may gonna work, but I don't know, his W build kinda got nerfed, which made him a really insane counter, a really good top laner, but there are simply better counter picks. I don't know, I would kinda add him to a cheese pick. Rise, underrated. Actually, he's kinda underrated because he got buffed through time in the past. Some of them more so specifically had him in top lane. In mid lane, the issue is that there are some assassins he can't properly deal with or range mages that outrange him. So sometimes you actually catch yourself as Rise to be in a better spot in top lane than in mid lane. He has decent wave clear, some good AoE to take down the grubs. He does actually champions that don't necessarily have a good target access. He can really easily kite them, he really easily can poke them. So I would say like some matchups can be concerning, like Irelia. But I would say like otherwise, like even the champion like Riven can be rooted in time, even though she does have target access. It's kinda like you can root her, you know, so it really depends, but I would say is really underrated. Riven got the buff. Riven, I feel like it's hard to get a lead as a Riven. I feel like it's hard to get a lead as a Riven. And there's just like simply like so many champs that just like stonewall him and she can't get a lead. I don't know. Counter? Is it valid? But it's like some champs she counters, but there are just better counters as well than Riven. I don't even know honestly. Is there like something good for Riven in this patch? There are some champs that got nerfed that may be concerning for Riven, like Shen Kusante to some extent. Counter or shit. I don't know honestly. If you get ahead, it can be an interesting champion, but it's kind of like in between dog shit, or if you get ahead, it can be useful. I mean, if you counter something, it can be good though. I would say if you counter something, maybe it can be fine. Gragas in general, it's good. Sion, cheese or dog shit. The thing about Sion is his cheesing power been taken away. It's way harder to take monster camps, to steal monster camps these days with Sion as before in the past where he stole the enemy camps because people are more aware, or it's harder to steal them in general. People will respect your Q boost cheese. There is no Brawler's Club, Hard Seal is dog shit, more dog shit than in the past, Sunfire is dog shit. So there are just so many items that either got removed or they got dog shit nerfed. Just trash. Camille. It's hard to tell. She's kinda bad, I would say, after nerfs. Like, I would say Counter has some counter validity, but otherwise, like, generally she's trash. Rengar, cheese trash, I don't know, just trash. Don't know if I can. Like, it's kind of a cheese, but it's also like a shitty cheese. Cho'Gath, trash. Renekton. Renekton. I mean, you can always be like a bruiser that has like a stun look, but into some comps you're not very functional. Lex, I don't know, can be underrated, but I don't know. Don't feel like Renekton is specifically good at anything. Except he has like a stun look and a solid scaling kit in even curves, but don't know, it's kinda counter. It can be a good pick though. Olaf, feel like after nerfs, Riot Games tried to push Olaf towards the jungle role. Generally seen him to be kinda trash. Warwick is underrated. He's actually good. Do you guys know why do I say this in patch 14.22? He actually got some insane buffs. Let me show you guys what are those insane buffs really quick. That may not, people will not even understand it. What are they about, by the way? Scroll down, even more down. Boom, lots. They just say lots. Passive shield increase. They just say lots in here. Warwick, we don't care about this text, it doesn't mean shit. Model size is bigger by 15%, which means you're more likely to be caught by a Psione as an example. W mana cost is lower, which does favor him in top lane. The flat cooldown is also lower. Interesting thing is spell now also triggers the attack speed when used to damage enemies under 50% health. The attack speed granted by attacks and spells now linger between attacks. That seemed to be a good thing because you may more likely to get another swing in because it lingers in between attacks. And so because like most of his Q and R does apply on hit effects as an example, for example, if you Q someone and you're gonna obviously like hold your Qs to arrive behind them, and if they're gonna go under 50%, you're gonna get very quickly value out of it. So I would say like this lingering part is actually very good, honestly. Because there are some champs like maybe like Mundo or something that can heal, and this extra lingering can help a little bit, because sometimes you're gonna use your W, sometimes you're gonna get just the attack speed passively. Depends how likely can you get value out of this. But this is seen to be a very good quality life change. General, very good buff. Bonus from passive is a little bit decreased, but this shouldn't be concerning. Ticks twice as fast, no one is hunted. It doesn't, but refounds 30% of the cooldown if no one is found. Now, the good thing is, guys, that active lockout removed. No longer locks out casting while in champion combat, which means if you want to get that sweet W speed value when you are fighting someone, maybe to sidestep an ability or whatnot, or more likely to connect your Q. For example, you could also like for example, your opponent is very deep in lane. You get to connect a Q, you run through the guy, and then you kind of like want to press your W because you outplayed an ability with your Q. This will just allow you to like play a bit more aggressively. This matters a lot on your E, especially on top lane. Basic attack trades, auto attack lockout after casting E. I actually didn't even know this is 0.5. Like so far it was 0.5. That's insane. It's 0.25, which also will help basic attack wise. So this just generally means with lethal tempo, grasp sometimes depends what you want to go for. PTA, he will be seen to be way better because it's easier to get those procs. This is just a really good buff, honestly. Especially like lane trade wise. And now the hit radius is bigger by 50, so it's not only a fast ability, it's gonna have 50% more hit radius than before, which is actually notable. And new clause in front now only latches onto champions in front of Warwick, which is just a hitbox thing. Like normally it should work that way in my opinion. Sometimes this is annoying because if you're trying to escape, it may latches into the enemy champion if you try to disengage with your R, as an example. Now from the other hand, sometimes when you try to like R someone else, not the guy behind you, you may some random how catch them with your R, and you're not gonna catch the guy in front of you. So this is seen to be a very good buff. In general, Nasus kind of trash. Mordekaiser after nerfs, trash. Cheese, I don't know. Counter, not really trash. I don't know. Fiora, as a counter pick, it can be interesting. Tampkench, underrated? Underrated or cheese? I don't know. If you go maybe like Bami, Part Steel, something like Spirit Visage, and there is the healing item as well. Like you would theoretically like use him as a counter pick as well. Not only necessarily against your laner, but rather to counter something important, like if they have a Vi and you have a Jinx or something. Counter pick, his R can counter like good amount of things that would normally allow your teammates to function more prepared, like kind of a counter. Garen, I don't know. Bad in meta, I don't know. There is this new attack speed crit item though, maybe it will be interesting on Garen. Actually, after Stride, maybe it is new crit item. I haven't tested out yet actually. But before, from Phantom Dancer, I think from the passive itself, I think you did get an extra spin if I'm correct, I'm not 100% sure. But you had to stack it up, but now if you queue in, you're gonna get that attack speed that can give you extra spins. I mean, that's Stride into Yuntal. I don't know, honestly. Maybe I gonna... Actually, I don't know with Yuntal how good he will be. I don't see him as a good pick so far, but... Actually, this is just debatable. Yeah, it depends how well does he interact with Yuntal second, but this might be debatable. Singed, Dogshit, Urgot, Cheese, Zac, cheese, gangplank. Is there some buffs to gangplank? I don't think so, but some of the counters did get nerfed. Some of the potential counters did get nerfed. I think as a counter it works well. You get to scale, you know, you get to scale kind of. But I guess like underrated. But you also have to be like hardcore one tricking him. The thing is, if you're not like he's bad in the meta, that's the truth. He's bad in the meta, but if you're like insanely one tricking it, you can make it work. But generally speaking, I see him bad in the meta. Poppy after nerfs. Maybe a counter pick, but I mean she has counter pick potential honestly, but usually on top lane it's kind of weird because you have to counter your opponent, but also your champ has to be functioning to the rest of the enemy team, and it's kind of like if you have to cover the side lane as Poppy, then you're not the best at beating your teammates with your W, if it makes sense. She did receive a 4 AD nerf and some attack speed change, but that minus 4 AD does matter a lot on top, so I don't know. I feel like that affects her a lot. I generally don't see him like maybe as a counter. She's considered Lucian. Kind of poop crap on top lane, but I would say like obviously like ADC it can be fine. Hecarim, trash. Lissandra, cheese, I would say at right here it was fun. Alawi got nerfed. Alawi got a severe nerf on her head recently. Let me show it to you guys. It mainly affects like lower ranks, 3 less AD, less mana growth obviously, so she can spam less so much. I'd say she's kind of a cheese. Still, I don't know. We'll just add him into the cheese. Irelia did get a buff, 50% extra damage towards towers, and what else was it? It sticks to the towers, so basically a passive remains on, so you're a bit more snowball if you're ahead, but otherwise dual-wise it doesn't help you. Irelia is a really good counter though, but often Irelia is seen to be a better mid laner. I don't know. I don't know about Irelia, she has some outplay potential on top lane, that's the thing, but I see her being better on mid lane. She has outplay potential. It can be a good counter pick, but I don't see her being really that good on top lane. I guess some of her counters did get nerfed over time though. Honestly, no, she's not that bad. Jax, I feel like after so many nerfs, he got lethal tempo, but not much value out of this patch. Like he did actually receive a 10 more cooldown, now 50 less damage on his R. I feel like he received a lots of nerfs on his head. I feel like it's not really that great. Jace, underrated. I mean, he got buffed over time. Jace did actually get buffed over time, guys, but it's kind of like you also have to be kind of good at it to make it work. So it's like the champion can be fine, but you also got to be insanely skilled at it. Because he did receive here and there some buffs and whatnot, but again, you still have to like really know what you're doing. So I would say like he can be underrated. Set, kind of trash honestly. I mean, it's kind of like how useful your W can be, or in mid late game or whatnot, but I just don't see him being good. Kale, some people are overhyping these buffs. Like it's not, guys. It's not that significant. Like again, like generally speaking, Kale kind of sucks dick, and she also like struggles. Even if she gets to scale, she does struggle into certain comps, and it's like okay, like we give her a 0.5 more amount of attack speed per 100 AP. So what does that mean? For example, if you have 100 AP, you're gonna get like 5% attack speed. That's it. But only if you fully stack your passive. Otherwise, you're just gonna get ramping up more and more attack speed. But it's like, I don't know. It's like at least she scales better AP wise, but the AD build does not get helped by this. So it's just kind of random, I guess. Cannon, honestly, I feel like he's kind of underrated. He did receive not a long time ago a 10% nerf on his Q, but I would say like he does have some good matchups. He does secure some plates. He does escape well from enemy ganks. It does scale well into some comps that don't necessarily permac knock him back. Melee comps or some short range-ish comps where he gets to all in properly with his Rs. I would say like that's validity. I think it's a bit underrated Kled. I don't even see many Kleds honestly, like I can hardly judge Kled. I feel like he's kind of trash in general. I feel like it's actually not that trash, it's kind of a cheese. It's kind of a cheese. Cassante did receive a change recently, so Q 10 less damage, but his all-out form has more speed, so you're better at catching up to connect an EQ. I mean, a bit less damage, which does matter because you spam it, but you have a faster hip. Honestly, less stat checky. It's kind of good at cheesing people, but underrated. It's not bad in the meta. It's good as a counter as well. It's good as a counter pick. It can also work. It can also work quite often. Like there are some counters though, but if you are insanely skilled, you can outskill most of the champs. Can be a good counter pick though, I would say, in my experience. Blindable. Vayne, bad. Twisted Fate, bad. Yorick, cheese. Karma. Honestly, she did receive some buffs, some changes. Honestly, she has some push, some poke, some gang setup. Can work, I would say, can work. Kind of a cheese as well. Kind of a cheese. Smolder, bad in general, bad. Wukong. Now, Wukong is actually kind of underrated. Do you guys know why I say it? He did actually get the nice buffs. He did receive very, very nice buffs actually on his W. What does? Let's see what else. So 30 mana, basically you get like a Q and a half amount of more mana. And the more significant change is on his W, so 18, so you get to use it more frequently, because the issue is it has a long cooldown, and this is the thing that allows you to trade short trade into certain matchups, so having it up way more often is insane, because this will make the champion way more functional, because there are many abilities that he has to counter with his W to like short trade into them, has a similar cooldown as the current W cooldown of Wukong. Taking note Kami Z, taking note Jax Z, 17 seconds. So having it up at a more similar time instead of having it up way more delayed at 22 seconds is very important, because you get to CS more, pressure more, trade more. And I mean, it's just in general, like this allows you to do so much more. It's unreal. So I would say he's definitely underrated. I'm not sure if I can add him works most of the time, because he may be kind of strong. He may be kind of strong, honestly. He may be kind of strong though. He's definitely underrated so far. Honestly, can I add him here? Maybe this is a bit overconfident. No? Because into AP matchups it does fall off. But AP champs are generally not meta, and lots of them got nerfed on top. They're not even picked in general. Like, when do you see AP tops, honestly? Rumble you don't see, Mord you don't see, Cannon you don't see. Not sure if I can add him here. Well, maybe I could move him here up as well. I think it can work most of the time, but I don't know. There are some range tops you can't really like deal with so easily. Tanks sometimes like Malphites, maybe not really. Would say cheese or bad. I mean, with biscuits you have some cheese potential, but honestly, like he got nerfed. Because, I don't know, I guess in low elo is too OP, but I feel like he's kinda trash now. Cheese, trash, it's hard to say. Kind of a cheesy trash. Has some cheese, but I would say it's just trash. Nautilus, trash, but has some cheese potential. Just trash, honestly. Shen. Say after the nerfs is kinda trash. Ornn works most of the times. Pantheon, cheese trash. He got buffed, he got changed in some way, but I don't know. The issue is like often After mid game, you're not very functional into so many comps. Like, I just don't know. I don't see the champion being super good if you don't get the lead. Timo, just kind of trash. Even though Tenacity got nerfed somehow, which is still trash. Trinda is trash. Malphite, good counter pick. Rumble, he got very hard nerfed. Kind of a cheese. Cassiopeia, cheese. Kaisa, poop crap. Maokai got buffed. Maokai is kind of underrated, but also it's kind of a counter. Because, guys, why do I say that? Okay, so let's scroll up at things with Shen. We see the Shen changes are here if you wanna. So Rumble did get the buff as well. Rumble did get the buff as well. Smaller one, right? Cannon, maybe I could add him here, but not really, right? Because he could fall off into some counters, but it's also kind of like hard to counter him. Oh, Maokai, I was talking about Maokai. So Maokai, oh fuck, wrong click. So Maokai, where is Maokai? He did get the buff, but I don't think so. I think most of the times he gets smashed by most of the gems. And also you got to be skilled with your rear round bushes, like you have to know what you do with your W. I don't know. I think like even in pro playing wards it did get picked. Like as a counter it's interesting. Or you don't necessarily have to counter your enemy, but it's kind of like your pick is like very good in general into them, and you get to scale at most evenly into your opponent on top, you know. But I think these speed buffs are very good. X-ray HP is nice, mobility nice. Sapling also doesn't work with. It's not based on boots, it's based on levels. So if you don't want to buy boots early, then you're gonna have your sapling toss. This is actually kind of good trading pattern wise, obviously in the jungle as well. Think he can work, but obviously into many champs he gonna suck and he just can't see us, but you just pick it for the team. Underrated or counter pick? It's not really underrated. Skarner, always cheese. Trundle, cheese. Lilia, bad. Lilia is just bad, is the problem. Like, the thing is, even so now she got nerfed, which just makes her just kinda piss shit, so it's like, I mean, she was in general not really good after her top nerfs a long time ago, but now she's just like even more piss shit, because doesn't really like a good mana management item like Leandry used to be in the past. It also gives her like tick damage, because Leandry doesn't give stick damage, and HP obviously. It's like Mordekai's nerfs are here, by the way, if anyone was curious. Flat damage didn't get nerfed, right? Oh, it did by 10. Wow, that's a joke. I'm not sure if that will even mess with his wave clear. Ooh, Corki. Okay, we don't care about that for now. Now it's the top lane tier list. I mean, it was like an armor nerf, and it was like a passive use less of monsters, but it's significant enough for top. I would say that's it for now, guys. Feel free to take a screenshot if you feel like. But that's it for now, guys. Have a nice day, all.